Hello and welcome to Astromanics, the podcast where we talk about sex, love, and astrology. This is Mary Piercy with me. It's wonderful.
Hello,
person.
half of Team Aquarius.
Half of Team Aquarius, the moon to my sun, right?
Yeah. I found tattoos that I think we should get.
Oh yeah, tattoos.
It says, so it's a sun and a moon, and then the opposite, right? So it's like live by the sun, love by the moon.
Oh, cute. Cute.
I was like, we could probably even make that better. You know what I mean? We could like tweak that concept.
It's so funny.
Astrology.
I think my Virgo goes, I need all of the, it's got to be on me forever, which is like really realistically the next 50 years. You know what I mean? Right? Like I can't, and when I think of that, I go, it's got to be something I really fucking want, you know? And so it's hard to just be like, nothing, you know, like, oh, spur of the moment. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. I think I might actually be the literal opposite, because if I had money, and I could just walk into any tattoo place, I know I could find something that I would like and get thrown on.
Yeah.
Flash wise, you know what I mean? I could pick any flash. I know I could find a flash I like out of any shop. I think
it's because I almost got super Christian tattoos back in the day that I would have hated to have on my body right now, right? So that's why I put in, is this something, I'm even hesitant to put astrology on me. I'm double Aries. What if in like 5 years, I'm like, oh, I don't know. We discovered something more. You know what I mean? Like, it makes me so hesitant. Now, flowers are forever. Right? That's never going to be, I'm never going to look at that and be like, oh, why do I have a flower on me? Why did I make that decision? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I still think like things that aren't new anymore are still like fun stories, right? So like my barcode.
Oh,
right. I was like intensely anti-establishment at 18, right? It's like it's a shitty tattoo and it's kind of a fun story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I like the way my body looks with more and more and more and more tattoos, you know?
When I had those little temporary tattoo sleeves on me, I was, oh my God, they look so good, you know?
It's just, it's your skin and you should decorate it the way you want.
So I love that we're talking about tattoos because we live in Portland and Portland is very Aquarius.
Yes. Very.
So last week we did a 4th of July special because we were like, oh, hey, let's do the US Sibley chart as if it were a person. You know, how do we belong in it? How do some people are like, I feel so foreign here, and other people are like, I feel right at home here. You know, kind of the complications of that. And so Portland. Oh, Portland. So I knew I wanted to be here. Jeff and I both knew. We were like, I want to be in Portland because we knew it was interesting and weird, right? I love the fix it with duct tape, right? I love the get it from Goodwill, right? I love the free box, right? I love the use what you've got resourcefulness, right, of Portland. And I also like the cutting edge, right? There's a cutting edgeness of Portland, right? And we love fucking protests. Love
right. I think
them.
Love the free here, right? Like there's a lot of just people can be themselves on whatever spectrum, whatever pronoun, whatever vibe, you know, and like it's just so much less likely for anybody to look at you sideways here,
right?
You know, it's just like there's just like this overall welcomeness. I mean, I wouldn't say like everybody you meet on the street, right? But I think it's so much easier to find pockets of people that are super cool and understanding and open-minded here.
Right.
And that's not the case in other places sometimes.
The assumption in Portland is don't have an assumption. Exactly. Right. Or yeah, you can have one, be down for that changing. You know what I mean? Like, but it also has like, we don't fucking know what to do to make anything stable, you know, kind of a thing in some ways. Like we're so cutting edge and we're so new all the time. I have had several people who are Taurus heavy who I know, right? Like I'm pretty sure my father-in-law is pretty Taurus heavy. My next door neighbor is a Taurus sun, and there's another Taurus person where I hear them say the same thing. My father-in-law has Taurus, my mother does too, right? Taurus moon. Where I hear them saying things like, no one's friendly, right? They get upset that no one's friendly in Portland, right? I hear that phrase, or I'll hear them say things like, well, no one's helping anyone out, right? Like that's the feeling from Tauruses in my life, commenting. People who live here and people who visit here that I know who have Taurus stuff, the not friendliness. And I would think, what would be anti-Taurus about sort of this place? And Taurus
progressive. It's progressive.
doesn't
Right.
like change, right? Taurus likes the idea of helping each other out, staying in one place, giving food to people. I mean, we grow food on the streets, right? There's like gardens everywhere, right? Which is very Taurus friendly. But then you've got this cutting edge Aquarius loner vibe, right? So let's look at Portland's chart, shall we? Shall we? So this is Portland's chart. We looked up, we put it in February 8th, 1851. This is when Portland as a city became incorporated. And like we were reading earlier that in like 1845, they did the towing costs, right? Is it going to be Maine? I know we were going between, I think like Portland, Maine, because somebody was from Maine, or being called something else. Boston. There's some other name that we were going to be called. That Portland, Maine that people wanted. Anyway, so there's a coin toss. That was 1845. And then, so February.
Wasn't that 51?
1845 was the coin toss.
Oh, that's right.
Became incorporated, according to this history Wikipedia, right? Business partners in 1843. In 1845, the name Portland was chosen by coin toss, and then February 8th, 1851, the city was incorporated, right? And
it seems like the city of Portland recognizes the 8th as its birthday, right? They're like, oh, we're turning 172 years old this year.
Right, according to that February birthday. 8th. So we are Aquarius. This does not shock me, right? Like before I even knew that our sons, this was here, right? Before I even knew that, I was like, oh, there's got to be some Aquarius vibes here, right? Because Aquarius
keep Portland weird. I mean,
right. What could be more, Yeah. And everybody do their own thing and very rebellious. We definitely get behind the underdog. We're like, oh, stop fucking with this shit. Kicks, is rebellious. And the United States, right? We have an Aquarius moon. So there's a sun moon contact here. There is a, we do belong here, kind of a thing, right? There is that.
Yeah. Portland would be more American in the sense of a melting pot than a lot of other places with like more conservative, less progressive values, right?
Right.
Where we're more diverse and welcoming of that. And so I think that would be the Aquarius Sun Moon East also.
Right. I was also looking at this. I just want to look for where that Mars is. Okay, so we are Mars 0 degrees. So Mars could either be on this day, really, Mars could either be in Capricorn or in Aquarius. But I'm inclined to think that Mars is in Aquarius rather than in Capricorn, because Mars would be exalted in the sign of Capricorn. And I feel like we would be more decisive, right? I feel like we might be more, whereas Mars is right now in Aquarius, right? According to this 0-43 degrees, like we're right in between, right? But we take quick action on rebelling, right? Also, people who have Mars in Aquarius tend to fight for America or fight against America, the states. Fight for the states or fight against the states, right? People with Mars and Aquarius tend to have strong opinions. Portland is definitely one of those that people in other parts of the states would consider us to be totally the worst, right?
Well, I don't know if they were the worst. Well, right. Like to a tourist, maybe this is the worst. I mean,
Right.
not all tourists either, but like when I think of some of the tourist sons in my life too, they've said similar things about Portland where they only see the negatives,
Mm-hmm.
like uh, all the homelessness, right? And I
Right.
do think it's very sad, but I think Portland does a lot to try to, provide for people that are homeless. Like, and they actually seem to stop a lot of the cracking down they could do because of it,
Right.
right? And they like don't want to kick homeless people out of where they're staying and stuff. So like my dad only sees it as um, a problem and growth, and I look at it as I see the city trying to be as
Right.
humanitarian as possible,
Yes.
right? Like without, I mean, they're working on tiny houses for people and living situations and warming shelters, and it just there's a lot of resources here, you know.
Yeah.
So I look at it as like I'm glad that I'm in a city that cares enough about to try to at least, I mean, it's a really big problem, so it's not like they can fix it overnight, but like
No, and it's a growing problem, right? Because we have a Neptune in Pisces. We have strategy in Pisces. That's gets lost in drugs, right? Pisces, right?
yeah, head in the clouds.
Yeah. There's a strong
Well, we're daydreaming about how good things could be, you know.
right. Hmm.
And so things like drugs or alcohol can help with the dissociation, you know.
Right. The help that Aquarius disassociate, right? Something else that I noticed, we have quite a few planets, heavy hitters over here in Aries, right? We have Uranus, who's a ruler of Aquarius, right? As is Saturn, right? So both of the rulers, traditional and modern, are in Aries, right? So this would be quick to revolutionize and extreme revolution. Pluto's there, right? This is extreme upheaval in Saturn ideals, right? This is extreme um, innovation, right? This would be also extreme, unexpected, impulsive action. So as a city, we unite around concepts of revolution, right? Real quick. I mean, when I think of how quickly things get together here, the first protest I ever went to here in Portland was I saw on Facebook that the Westminster Abbey, or not Westminster Abbey, sorry, Westboro Baptist Church was going to be protesting a game. The I'm such a horrible Portlander. What's the basketball team? I don't give a shit about sports at all. So
You're talking about soccer, Timbers,
no, the basket Blazers.
Blazers, Portland
Because
Trailblazers.
the Trailblazers had just gotten an openly gay player, right? So Westboro was going to come out and they were going to protest, right? So it went around here and everybody was like, oh, we're going to outnumber them and we're going to get them to leave, right? So it's myself, it's our children. We're like, oh, let's go. Let's go to this shit, right? Let's show the kids why we're here and kind of why we love this, right? We're going to go
Yeah,
take on Westboro fuckheads right now, right? You
somebody should.
minded assholes, right? They make me angry with their right. So we go there. I see it on Facebook, whatever. We go there, and when like as we were standing there, we saw the Westboro people with their signs and the bullshittery, but there was only like 10, 15 people, maybe, there. And I thought, okay, cool. And there was already quite a few people showing up. And then all of a sudden there was a stage there. Like somebody had brought a fucking stage, lights, a band. We had a party. We literally started a party
Yeah.
out front, and it was massive. Westboro wasn't even there for like 2 seconds, right? They were there for like 10 minutes because they could not withstand how much Aquarius was happening. And Aries, lightning fast, lickety split, right? Lickety quick. And I thought that was like just super amazing, right? That was really amazing to have that happen so quick.
Right. Instead of just protesting it, it became like bigger. bigger than theirs. So
It
they
was huge,
came a
and
party.
it was lightning fast. It was Aries quick. It was somebody had an idea and we did it, right? I think this is also why we have a major houselessness epidemic, right? We get to it quick, but Saturn wants to sustain boundaries, right? Saturn wants to be in the dark, and the sun is exalted here, right? Nothing's in the dark, right? Saturn wants to be in the dark, right? It is a planet of death, you know? It wants to, it's old man Saturn, right? It wants to be responsible. It wants to be structured. It wants to be ducks in a row, right? That's what it wants to do. And it is in its fall. It is in a pit here in Aries, right? It's exalted in Saturn, where our US, the United States of America, has theirs, right? The United States has a Saturn in Libra, exalted one, right? And here we are with the Saturn in Aries in its fall. So it's kind of like, yeah, we are quick to rebel. We're quick to structure a rebellion, a war, if you will, right? Aries is war, right? But it doesn't really think it all the way through, right? Shoot now, Aries theme, right? Shoot now, and then think about it later, right?
I think I would also think of the homelessness issue as like um gentrification, right?
Right.
There are people that have lived here for generations that can't afford to be here now.
No, right? That's a real problem here. When B&B popped up, Airbnbs, right? And then people who don't even live here were snapping up homes
Yep.
to rent them out. It was like, no one then who lives here can buy a home, dudes. You know,
No. Right.
pretty fucked up. We do have a Venus in Capricorn, right? So there is
And
an
a
adoration.
Well, and I think the Aquarius bits, right? Like Aquarius Mars, Aquarius Sun, Aquarius Black Moon Lilith.
Yeah.
And here we are, well, mostly in Pisces with Saturn, right? But we were just in Aquarius, and before that we were in Capricorn.
Right.
So I think we saw Portland get more and more popular during those times too.
Oh,
Let's say we're
yeah.
like an influx of more people moving here. Portland's definitely grown in popularity a
Yes.
lot, right? So,
Right.
and I think it's because of the vibe.
Right. I had a, like, yeah, during the Black Lives Matter protests, right, which were huge. The biggest protest I still think I've ever been a part of was the anti-Trump, right? The Women's March, the pink beanies,
Yep.
right? That Portland, we shut it down.
Worldwide, that had a huge response too. I mean,
yes,
American wide, maybe worldwide, that we did see support at least for anti-Trump, but like,
yes,
but yeah, Portland showed up on
right,
that day for sure. I wasn't living here yet.
I know. And you weren't living here for the Black Lives Matter. And then there was one more that was like gigantic.
I lived here 10 years ago.
Right.
And we went downtown this morning, and I was just saying, even this morning, I mean, I didn't even know we were doing this podcast today, right? Because we hadn't picked a topic yet, but I was saying it still feels the same as it did 10 years ago, right? Like, yeah, it might not be the exact same store. Yeah, there's a few more, maybe tents in places, but I still think it feels the exact same.
Right.
And especially certain roads, you know, it's just like, this is still, it's like the structure, the bones don't change, right? And it seems like a lot of people only see certain exterior things right now.
Right.
Like, oh, too much homelessness, can't. Right. It's like, yeah, that's sad. You know,
it got a lot worse after COVID, right? Like a lot worse. Because if you imagine how much drugs would you want to be on at that time, just to fucking forget that there's a pandemic happening? You have no real shelter. You are really close to, you're doing the exact opposite because you kind of have to, right? As to everybody else there, right? Like I remember seeing this encampment and then they had a sign that said shelter in place, right? You know, like a sign just to be like, don't fuck, we can't go anywhere, right? There's this feeling of, I mean, just to shut the world out, you would, right?
Well, yeah. And like, and it felt like that's when we saw like the poor get punished for being poor, right? They didn't have the same anti-COVID anything available, right? So the
Right.
distance between other people, the ability to get vaccinations, right? Like, yeah, they couldn't afford space or distance, right? So it's like it was just, oh, so I guess you deserve to die. Like it's terrible. It's really terrible.
It's things like that that I feel like we don't know what to do with, right? Like, right? How do we maintain the structure that I think is a challenge, or
But
maintain?
that I think that Aquarius Mars combined with the Capricorn, right? The Capricorn Venus,
Right.
and the Mercury,
Uh-huh.
right? I feel like that's the best of both worlds almost for a place, right? Because Capricorn has altruism. It does have a desire for its community to thrive, right? And I think it's because Capricorn can see that like when some people thrive, everybody can, you know what I mean? Like it's really not about the individual. It's like let's make everybody do better. And Capricorn can see that better than most, right? And then Aquarius is taking the perspective the next step further, right? Like looking to have these two humanitarians kind of working together in a chart for a place, right? So like the Venus cap, the Aquarius sun, like I think this is really it feels Portland.
Yeah, it does, right? It feels altruistic. It feels like there's definitely a love of old things, right? Because we have the Portland Historical Society. We hate tearing down houses that have been here for forever, right?
Yes.
We are taking up the anti-gentrification thing because we're like, hey, you don't see how this is unfair? We have a Jupiter in Libra. Fairness buoys us. Fairness matters, right? And I honestly, as an Aquarius, I go, oh no, wealthy people, you don't feel like it's fair, right? Like that's how I feel, hands down.
Right. I do think you're right about the old things too, because like we were driving into downtown today, I made a note of the fact that you see new sky rises next to beautiful old brick buildings, churches, right? Like it is one of the prettiest cityscapes I've ever seen. And I think it's just because it's like
so cool, right?
Some of those about the old stuff,
old, and you'll see like a little brick that says like 1841, or 1901, whatever. And you're like, oh wow, so I marveled. So so there's an appreciation of old and an appreciation of innovation.
Right. Because actually I always felt like that with Portland was kind of on it in some ways, like innovation, because like we know that the entire West Coast could have an earthquake, right? Portland's one of the few cities that have made it like you have to retrofit things if you're building currently, right? They have to be ready for an earthquake. And they're actually going back through and retrofitting all the old bridges. So instead of pretending like this isn't going to happen, they're like, no, let's plan for it. Let's put the money into it. Let's reinforce the city.
As soon as we discovered that straws were bad for turtles, that plastic rings needed to be modified, right? Things that were hurting the earth, the environment, and plastic bags for a long time. And still, until they came out with biodegradable plastic, Portland, quickest to change, quickest to be like, oh, straws fuck shit over, done, no straws, right? Unless you ask for it. Or like, oh, we're doing paper only. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want plastic? Fuck you. Plastic hurts the earth. It's paper until otherwise, like I love that so much.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you like really annoyed by this? Too bad. That's what's happening. Yeah. It's like, oh, well, it's going into effect in a week.
Yes. Now we definitely attract those. So Venus and Capricorn, Kaylee has one, Vera has one. We marvel. Kaylee also has a Jupiter in Libra, and as does Vera, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities here. The Aquarius Mars is Vera, and the Aquarius Sun is Kaylee.
Right.
Do you think we picked a city that is like our daughters on accident?
I don't know. Kaylee doesn't want to live here though. Kaylee's like, I want to go back to small town, hometown. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, okay, good luck.
I can kind of remember, and I'm more Sag than Gemini, like her, right? But she does have the Sag Mars.
Yeah.
But there's this restlessness, I
Mhm.
think, built in about I need to go
Right.
elsewhere and
Somewhere.
need to
There is.
physically be in
Changed.
a new place and see the world, right? Like it's almost like I think Sag and Gemini, I don't think they can learn in the same place, right? It's like if they don't put their feet on new ground, there's always this kind of like, you know, I'm not doing enough,
Yeah.
right?
I
Like
think
I'm
that's
not
totally real. Yeah. I think that's totally right on, actually, about Sag and Gemini. Like super, super right on. Forever students. Right.
forever students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they get easily bored, right? I'm a student.
I'm sending you like a funny meme I saw about the turtles.
Love it.
Um,
Yeah, let's look at some of our. So I wanted to put this, I wanted to do a synastry actually. Why is all of my stuff like being like no right now? Right?
let's check the trans.
No, it's because we're dealing with fucking Uranus, I bet. Uranus is like, oh no. The answer is just always that. Um, all right, here's us. Here's the synastry, right? No houses or anything. So USA is on the inside, sun, moon, right? And then Portland's on the outside. Oh, so we have a Venus opposite Venus. So that's like a very businessy thing, though, right? Venus in Cancer, USA, Venus in Capricorn.
Work home balance.
Work, yeah, right. A work home balance and having to balance that, right?
Well, yeah, the American dream versus like the American want.
Yeah,
like what COVID taught us is like a lot of people like to work from home, and that's okay, you know?
right. And that you can be just as effective, right? I've also learned that people who have a lot of water in their chart definitely need to be in closer contact with their coworkers, like in the same room at the same time. But people who have more air and fire in their charts, or really air, like fuck you. I don't got to be around anyone to do my shit, like earth fire. Seems like earth fire doesn't have to be around people, but no, sorry. Earth air doesn't need to be around people as much as fire and water. Water's got to connect, fire's got to be inspired. So those kind of people tend to need to be with other people anyway. And side note.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes I think fire can still get fed through Zoom. You know what I mean? Energy can still be exchanged. Water might be harder because you can't feel
Yeah.
it as strongly maybe or intuitively.
Yes,
But that
totally.
might be more protectant for somebody with a lot of water too, you
If they
know?
were especially in maybe a more toxic environment, that might feel better. Or
I mean,
people with MC cancer, right? In the house of cancer would probably feel better.
right.
Workhouse, water workhouses, right? Second, sixth, 10th. Might want to be out there minus the 10. Anyway, so many theories. But so our attraction, what we're attracted to and how we attract is different. Is attracted to achievers for sure, right? It is attracted to business, right? Business people are attracted to us, right? There is a definite commerce here. There is a hierarchy here too. In Portland, if I tell people that I'm from California, I almost have to cough it out because they fucking hate it. That is very Venus in Cap, right? How
I
long
think
we value how long you've been here, right?
well, I'm thinking maybe some of that Aries could be kind of competitive too, right? Because I think that
Yes.
Portland or Oregon in general, but especially Portland has a thing with Washington.
Yeah.
And then California and Oregon always have a thing too about
Right.
bullshit, you know. So it's like it's the silliest things like Washington drivers, da, 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 right? And like
Right.
I wonder if that's some of that Aries really.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like but like friendly competition. I think it's still like a sister state. Like I don't think anybody's like, I really hate them, right? But it's like, oh.
Yeah. I've seen bumper stickers that say, "Welcome to Oregon. Now go home." Like I've seen those a lot. That sentiment.
Well, Oregon is such a beautiful state, right? It still has so many trees and a
Moon and
beautiful
Taurus,
coastline.
outdoorsy, Moon and Taurus, farmlands, fields. We like things the same, right?
And the risk of too many people moving to Oregon, let alone Portland, is
Right.
that, urban sprawl. We're going to lose some of our majestic
Right.
scenery if
Mm-hmm.
people keep moving here. But I kind of think if the right people keep moving here, that's not as much of a problem.
Right.
Also, right? People are moving here because it's beautiful and want to preserve it. That's a very different vibe than that's a big market. I want to go there. I want to sell. I want to take over. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? There's like a
Right. Dude, what
different
are the
vibe.
chances of our north nodes being together here in Leo? Look at that.
That is cool. What was the how far apart is this?
1776 and 1851. I mean, that's some
Wow.
minutes, right? That's
Yeah. That's a big gap. Yeah, that is cool.
and
I
it's not
think
showing here, but we have a Neptune opposite Neptune too.
yeah, I think the same way that people say like that Christianity should actually, like Jesus would have a beer with a gay man in a bar and like chill, right? I think
Be
in
Jesus's
that
favorite
same,
movie.
the idea of Jesus, right? And like what he would actually want versus what like Christian culture kind of pushes out there, the judgment. And like I think that Portland is similar in that way where it's like you have a lot of conservative states that would say America, like this is what it is, right? But
Right.
in terms of what it actually is and what it started out as a safe place for people to come from all over, right? This
Religious
idea of
freedom.
freedom,
Mm-hmm.
I think that is something that Portland very much aligns with, right? I think that's where
Yes.
you see those north nodes lining up, is because there's actually a very similar understanding of that. Whereas, our culture has a very different idea of patriotism, right? It has a different
Totally.
like context to patriotism, especially after Donald Trump. So it's like, but I think at its core,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the United States and Portland are two people that would get along and want to make the world a better place.
Bring joy. When I feel most fulfilled and like I'm really fulfilling my North Node Leo karma, right? A big part of my purpose is to bring joy, right? It's a huge part of it. And so Portland is supposed to bring joy and obviously Aquarius quirky awareness, right? Like, and then the states, right? Us to bring joy. North Node means we had hard upbringings. That's what it means, right? Anybody who has a North Node Leo in their chart means that when you were being raised, you kind of had a shit time at times of it, right? And so North Node's like, hey, if you could just learn to let all that go and be joyful now, like that's what you're supposed to do, right? We
Right.
know you had to think of everyone in the past. Now
Right.
let's just be on a stage and childlike. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more about the fun of it.
The fun of it. So I kind of love that I live in a state, in a city, in a country that aligns with my North Node and my
Yeah.
sun, right? Like
Right.
moon, your
Right.
moon and sun, right?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
And then so much for kids.
Oh, so much about babies, right? Um, I think it's interesting that our Venus then would land in the Sibley chart, the USA's second house of resources. So we
Mhm.
do bring value. There is value that we bring to the states, right? It's not just upheaval, although we're good at it, you know? So what would you do? Like, I know we were talking about last time, like a president, like what kind of a president would you want? And we agreed, like, well, most of Americans like Virgo. They seem to be enamored with Virgo people. And we have a Neptune, right, in Virgo, right? So we talked about having like a Virgo president, maybe somebody who has the sun, moon, or rising in Virgo.
Depends on, it couldn't just be any Virgo, right? Because we got light side and shadow side, and perfectionism doesn't bode well for politics.
No.
But I think yeah, the Virgos are attracted to other Virgos, and Virgos are really good at details and organizing and being in service,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's kind of like one little Virgo molecule attracting all the other little Virgo molecules.
Right.
Right? So it actually would be a great thing in that sense, right? It could be one big Virgo party, like being in service
Mm-hmm.
to everyone, right? Like that would actually be really good. But then it's like that shadow side of Virgo
Right.
where the underappreciation or
Yes.
lack of perfection can halt all progress,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yes.
it's like double-edged sword.
Like the Saturn opposite Saturn here, I kind of go, well, what would be like good? Who would be, I guess in this instance, I'm also thinking of like a mayor, like, well, who would make a good mayor then for who would be on our behalf to I guess I'm looking at just Portland, not
Right.
not Oregon as a state, right? So maybe I should look at Oregon as a state, really, to have
as a whole, yeah.
As a us. I'm just thinking of like Portland though. Oh my God, so many layers. But yeah, we have a value for grit, right? We have a moon square moon, right? There's our Taurus moon is in square to the US's moon. So that would be like there's a sorrow around inner worlds, right? There's like a friction between how we nurture. Like the way that the US would nurture as a whole isn't the way that we might nurture as a whole.
I think that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, does that to me doesn't seem like it has to be the thing that's lined up.
No.
If we're talking about places.
I mean, we have a sun contact. That is magical. That's a marriage, right? That's
well, North Node on North Node.
Yes. That's really good. Yeah, Venus opposite Venus, Venus Jupiter opposite Venus, right? These are benefics here, right? Mm-hmm. The Saturn opposite Saturn could be a good thing in that Saturn could be like that. The US could be like help structure social things, Libra, right? Like there could be a way of working together, but we definitely push on there when we expose. So we expose America's childhood wounds, right? The state's childhood wounds here. Taurus moon likes exploded, likes food. How many food trucks do we have? How many varieties of amazing food do we have here? So many, right?
Yeah, like top notch.
Right? Yeah. Pleasing them senses up in here, right? Like how many clubs we got up in here dancing, how many everybody's front yard has a garden, right? That's so Taurus, right? But yeah, we are immediate, powerful little disruptors, aren't we?
That feels very on brand.
Yeah, it certainly does. Also, we are an outcast, right? We have sun. It turns us on to be an outcast. Black Moon, Lilith, and Eros, right? Next to the
that feels on brand. Yeah.
Yeah, right. We kind of feel turned on that you think we're too sexual for you.
Yeah, we're different. Yeah. We're weird. It's not a bad thing. Like
no, well, not for us for Aquarius, right? We're like, oh fuck yeah, It's our people. I want to do an experiment where I have two people, like a Republican and two people who vehemently disagree, even hate each other. I love the idea of like looking at their charts and helping them to understand each other so they can have better dialogue. Whatever. I'm an Aquarius idealist. Like I'm just convinced that I can do something with that.
If anything could, it would be astrology.
Right. I'm convinced that I could be like, okay, say it. So to get these two charts to understand each other, right? What I love to do when I can say the light side, shadow side is don't shoot the messenger, but Portland, we're quick to commit and then quick to give up, after a while. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we want to rebel. We need help in the area of infrastructure, right? We need help in the area of figuring out where to put people, right? And it just so happens that, the country we live in can help us out with that, like it is in opposition though. So like we can help each other out. We just have to find some kind of balance, or like, so I like being able, like if these are two people, I could say, oh, we have a sun moon contact. You both appreciate the weird. Tell me about that. Right. Like, and having the US be like, I love people. I think everyone could have a place, right? Saturn, Libra, right? We have a strategy, right? I have a strategy, a logical strategy for how to deal with our inner world stuff, how to deal with our emotions, our body, I just think Oh, Pluto, Mars, right? This is control issues. Our Mars has a little bit of beef with the way that you transform states. We'd like to help. We'd like to help you with that. We'd like to fight with you a little bit so that you fucking change, right? Mars, Pluto, right? It also makes for like a fight for survival in some ways, right? In this context. I was just thinking about like, how would you tell someone? So we have a moon in Taurus, right? A moon in Taurus. At least the states then have, so the Cancer, Sun, Jupiter, and Venus, right, in Cancer. Like we could be like, hey, to get along better here, let's maybe make things pretty in some way, right? Or like well cared for. You want like a sanctuary, and you both want a sanctuary, you both want longevity, you both care about family a lot, right? How can we make people who are outcasts feel more like family, right? Like, how can we do this? What's the logics of it, right? Can we logic this shit out, right? So we would be able to detach us, I think, more than like Portland, more than the states as a whole, would be able to detach the emotions, right? Because Cancer can't detach, whereas these parts of us can. But yeah, I guess talking about how you could be sort of detached, right? And we would definitely value the input of this Saturn, right? Right? Please give us your shit. We have a Jupiter Juno contact here, right? That's awesome. That's the king and queen of heaven right there, right? So you have to rule as co-rulers in some way. Jupiter being the heavier boost because he's huge and out there, and Juno's closer to us in a tiny little asteroid, but she's one of the bigger asteroids anyway. Yeah. And then how do we focus on our karma together, right? How do we focus on enjoying each other's company? How do we go, oh my God, I love your spit. I love your fire here, Portland, Love that, love that, love how you want the underdog. We do too, right? Like, how would you match these two up? How could you get these two people to work together?
I don't think it would be that hard.
No, right? I mean, we would have to recognize, first of all, that we have all this Aries energy, right? We'd have to recognize that we are impulsive as fuck. Yes. Does the US kind of need that impulsivity? Maybe a little bit, yes, to get you to fucking change ever, right? But yeah, I think I would say like we both have a value for the old. We both have a value, strong values for building, right? There's a strong value here for it. We have a value and a resource, and you have a value and a resource for it. So like there's a quickness in Capricorn, right? I think leaning into the Capricorn parts would be amazing, right? Place to think about. Okay, so what would Portland be like as a person, and what would their kinks be? The last thing would be fun, sexy, right? What would Portland's kinks be, right? Mm-hmm. Aries, a whole lot of Aries. We want to be chased. This person wants to be chased hard. Uranus, Pluto, definitely big electrocution. If you could shock me hard, that'd be awesome. Tie me up and shock me hard, right? Saturn. Something like that. And then give me great aftercare, Siri here, right? I want to see unconditional love in your face while you're tying me up and shocking me hard.
Yeah, sounds like Portland.
Right? Jupiter in Libra, very not straight, right? Moon in Taurus. We're definitely going to do some sensual play with this moon in Taurus. I'm definitely going to blindfold you. We're definitely going to do smells.
Wine and dine.
Yes. And I'm definitely going to kiss your neck here, Portland, right? I'm definitely going to get close to it. I'm going to perfume it. You're going to smell my perfume, right? I think that would be really nice. I'm going to take you to nice dinner. Yeah. I'm going to do all those things, right? Sun in Aquarius, I'm going to not tell you what to do. So this would be complicated, right? Because Aquarius suns cannot be told what to do. But we're going to dream about humanity together. We're going to have intellectual conversations about what the future could be like. And we're going to go to a protest for sure. For sure. Yeah. Right?
Right.
For sure, we're going to go to museums, right? For sure, we're going to go to some kind of exhibit that is unconventional in some way, right? Maybe let's go to a strip club. I mean, that also is Portland, right?
Totally. That
Right?
Dante's place that says it's been every Sunday for 20 years or something,
Yeah, right? Like
doing
there's
cabaret, but it's also like a strip. I don't know.
so many,
It's like
right?
iconic here.
Yeah. Dante's Inferno. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, but Jupiter, right? The more the merrier. So this says drag shows to me, right? That's gonna make me feel good. That's gonna make Portland feel good, right? And then we have like this Capricorn bits here. Let's you're gonna want to feel like a power couple in some way, right? There's a power couple vibe, an appreciation of power couple. Oh, dude, Nessus and Gemini, we're definitely gonna talk trash to each other. Like
Some
abusive
friendly shit
speech, but it's
talk.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So those are my thoughts on like the kinks,
Mhm.
the kinks of things. Like, definitely we're gonna roll pretty hard here. Pretty hard in adventure world. We're definitely gonna go entertain some rebellious shit for sure to make us feel alive, look like a power couple doing it. Does that make sense? Anything else you see if it was like a person?
Maybe the Capricorn, the bones.
The bones. Make you feel your bones. Give her a little shake in the hips. She can
Yeah,
feel her skin and her water around her bones. Yeah.
exactly that.
Yes. All right. Well, that was the it. Thanks for entertaining my ideals of I'm just going to make the world a better place. And that's it.
Obviously, you're Aquarius.
Right. 11th house. There's got to be a way, you know? Um, yeah. So it's not like we landed anywhere, but we all have a better idea of what the fuck's up, something, some food for thought to be like, oh, interesting. Like, yeah, that is good. All righty. Well, I love you so much. Thank you for
I love
joining
you.
me. You're amazing,
I love Portland so much too. I
right?
think it's
Feel
cool
at
to get to know
home.
it better.
Aquarius is feel at home here in Portland, right?
And
We
then
got it.
looking up your astrocartography for Portland too is probably interesting if you live here.
Yeah, I have the
Right.
Saturn here, which is the traditional ruler of Aquarius,
And I
right?
have Pluto.
Yeah, you do. Big transformations living here.
I think deeper connection to self too because of the first house
In a
next to my
deep
Venus.
way. Yeah. Like the
Hmm.
more you're allowed to explore the taboo or
Yeah.
the deeper, darker, right? The more you're allowed to explore those things. Totally.
Yeah.
I love it.
Um,
Mhm.
which Pluto on a line might or Pluto on a place might not be as fun for someone else, right? So where is Pluto in your chart, right? In my case, it's in my first house, it's next to my Venus and my rising. So I Pluto is more of a friend in my chart, but he might,
Right.
depending on where he's located and who he's talking to, be less friendly in a
Right.
chart or be asking you to up level in other ways, right? So that's why you have to look at the chart and the astrocartography together, not one or the
Right.
other.
Oh, Venus, that means good. I mean, it's like,
Right.
yes, but what if you have a Venus that's like,
Next to a Chiron, right?
right?
Right.
Exactly that. Okay.
All
Well, I
right.
love you.
I love
We'll
you.
we'll just help the world. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Team Aquarius, here to help.
Forever unite the world.